Welcome to Watch, Review, Repeat. This is the podcast where two best friends discuss the latest in film and television and then do it all over again the following week. My name is Colton Brown, and joining me, as always, it's Andrew Meadows.
Hello, internets, and Colton. How are you?
Doing well. I'm doing well. How are you?
Doing pretty good, man. Doing pretty good. Caught a movie today in the IMAXs.
Oh, did you?
Not the real IMAX, though. I caught it in the LIMAX.
Well, you know, as we've established, you got to take advantage of that AMC A-list status. So, right there with you. I saw it in LIMAX as well. I mean, of course, we're talking about Fantastic Beasts, The Crimes of Grindelwald, right?
Yeah, also known as Harry Potter. But it's not Harry Potter. I guess it's not Harry Potter. It's Harry Potter World. The Wizarding World, I think, is how they're branding the... Is that how they brand the franchise now?
I think it's, I don't know if it's just the Wizarding World or if it's the Wizarding World of Harry Potter. I feel like Harry Potter's probably thrown in there somewhere because that's kind of more of the brand name than quote unquote, the Wizarding World would be. But
right.
It's
or is
Harry
that like
Potter.
Its own production company?
No, I think that's just kind of the central brand for everything, like the J.K. Rowling stuff.
Well, the more you know. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, did that inadvertently become a fun fact, or do you have something else lined up for us?
No, that could be my fun fact. Totally my fun fact. Definitely had that plan as my fun fact.
Okay. All right. Well, I mean, I'm not going to argue with you. All right. Did you come prepared with some news to...
I did. I think the first one I want to talk about, I'm probably the most excited about. And that's, we got some news before from Adi Shankar that he was going to be producing another video game deal. But we didn't know what it was a couple weeks ago or a month ago or whatever it was.
Well, there was speculation.
That he was doing Zelda, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
Yeah, so we know now that he is not doing Zelda, but he will in fact be making a Devil May Cry anime series.
Yes, indeed. So, producer of Castlevania, I think, is probably the most notable thing that kind of ties into this. And I feel like kind of coming off of Castlevania, Devil May Cry definitely, I feel like, is much more fitting with that style and tone than a Legend of Zelda series would have been. But
right,
you said you're excited about this? I'm
pretty excited about it. I don't know. I think I played one or two of the Devil May Cry games. I haven't played a whole lot of them. But I know Dante's a badass, and I think he's got these silver guns and stuff that he shoots people or demons or whatever with. So sounds like it could be pretty cool. I think it's fascinating. He told IGN that he actually bought the rights to the DMC franchise in order to make it, which I thought was interesting that he was using his own money to kind of produce the movie or the show, I guess. He didn't, quote unquote, want the jabronis in Hollywood to fuck it up.
Yeah, I saw that quote. It was interesting. But hey, I mean, got to do what you got to do. So it seems to me, and I think it's probably the case with Castlevania, it seems like a guy that has a clear passion for these franchises. And so I think that quote, if nothing else, is indicative of the fact that he's like, I want to see this, but I want to see it done right. So I'm just going to do it myself. Like, I mean, he's given us the old Thanos approach. You know what I'm saying?
It's awesome. It's a really cool thing. It's a really cool thing when you have a passionate filmmaker behind the properties that he's producing, and he's leveraging his own money to do it, which I think is really cool.
And especially when it comes to like video game adaptations, because they've been notoriously piss poor forever, basically. I mean, like Mortal Kombat is like the best video game adaptation, maybe, or I don't know, maybe. I feel like we might have branded Tomb Raider as such, but I'm not sure I agree with that assessment. If we did come to that conclusion, the recent Tomb Raider,
I gotcha.
Vikander one, but yeah. Anyway, I think we can say at this point, if we're including TV shows, Castlevania, I think that's got to be the best video game adaptation that I've seen. Now, obviously, there's recency bias there, but I think legitimately it's
I think it's
definitely
best. Yeah,
better than most other attempts. Anyway.
Yeah, so I find that pretty cool. He also released a picture of him as Dante, which I thought was pretty neat. But yeah, it seems like he's pumped up about it. I'm pumped up about it, and you should be too.
I am.
Yeah.
What's your problem, man? You think I wasn't pumped for it? You got to pump me up.
I mean, that was more of a like. Everyone listening should be pumped up.
Oh, yeah, you're pumping up the listeners. All right, that's fair.
Pump
that's
up
fair.
the listeners.
They might need to be pumped up. So, yeah, all right, I'll allow it. I'll allow it. What else you got for me? And our listeners. You got to pump up the listeners with a bunch of stuff, right?
I got two more things to pump them up. I got what... I don't know how I feel about this, but Criterion's getting their own streaming service. And it's going to be launching in the spring of 2019. And it's going to... I didn't know this, but in reading the news from Deadline, apparently they have their own channel currently. They're getting their own channel, and they were operating under Filmstruck.
Yes, and so Filmstruck I think is about to shut down, or it may have already shut down as of recording this. I'm not sure what the exact timeline on it was, and I had no idea this thing existed. So I feel like I guess I'm part of the problem. But I know that there's been like a big outcry like since the announcement was made that Filmstruck was basically getting killed off, and so I think people were really upset that they were going to lose that streaming service. So it seems like this news is kind of made in response to that outcry of like, hey, we've still got something on the table for you guys that are, feeling, down in the dumps because of this Filmstruck going away announcement.
Yeah, and apparently it's going to fall in line with Warner Media's projected release of their streaming service. And it's all going to fall into one thing, I guess. But the Criterion channel is also going to be produced. They're going to keep producing Filmstruck series, I guess, which I thought was really interesting. I didn't know that. I've never heard about Filmstruck either. But they've got a show called Adventures in Moviegoing, and they've featured Guillermo del Toro and Bill Hader. Bill Hader. I can't. And they got a 15-minute film school and observations of film and art and Tuesday shorts and all sorts of really cool little things that are on that Filmstruck channel. So, I mean, with that being said, I'm a little excited. I just don't know how I feel about everyone getting their own streaming service. I think we've talked about this before. I feel like this is somewhat different in the sense that it's just continuing something that already existed. It's right.
Instead of getting rid of content and now this doesn't exist anymore, it's just kind of existing in a different platform. So I agree with you in the sense of, it comes to a point where it's like you're spending as much money on streaming services as you are on cable just because there's so fucking many of them. Like if you're trying to keep on top of everything, then like the money, the expenses just add up and keep adding up. So
right.
I guess, the difference is you can kind of specifically cull it closer to what your interests are. And, I didn't know anything about Filmstruck, but I am a big fan of Criterion. So I'm curious about this. I'd be curious to check it out. It's good to know that like now that I'm like made aware of this thing, it's not just going away. And it's just like, oh, okay, well, I guess I never had the opportunity to go in on that sort of thing. Now I do. So if this service goes away in a few years and I'm part of the reason of that because I didn't participate, I have no defenses left anymore. But
no, it's definitely interesting. It's Criterion's got an awesome collection of movies that they have. So I'll probably end up subscribing to it.
Yeah. Do you think our listeners are pumped about it? Do you need to pump them up?
I'm pumped about it. You should be too. If you're listening, you should be pumped up about that.
Maybe. Let me just add a little tantalizing detail here to win over our listeners, perhaps. Maybe we're going to be talking about some Criterion movies very soon. I can't say what it is right now. You're going to have to wait until the end of the episode to find out. But maybe that might be a taste of what kind of films that the Criterion collection has to offer. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you should totally be pumped. That little tidbit right there should definitely pump you up. You know what did not pump me up? Kind of got me a little deflated, got me feeling kind of down a little bit.
What's that?
The Dumbo trailer.
You didn't like it?
No, I thought it was good. Just kind of made me feel a little sad. A little sad.
Oh, okay. So no, it wasn't like sad in the sense of like, oh god, this looks so bad. It was just like, kind of, just the mood of the trailer maybe.
Yeah, sad little Dumbo trailer.
Well, it's got that kind of trademark downtrodden Burton style.
Yeah. It looks like it's probably going to be pretty good. I like the cast, and I've actually, a little fun fact about myself, I can't remember Dumbo.
It's the elephant with the big ears.
Yeah, I got that. He flies.
Okay.
Dumbo the flying elephant.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, I can't remember ever watching it, so I don't know. I don't know if I have, or maybe I just forgot. It's been forever. I don't know.
I think I'm in the same boat where like I'm more familiar with just what like Dumbo is rather than actual the
story
plot
of
details
Dumbo
of the movie. Right. Yeah. I mean,
So-
he's an elephant with big ears and he can fly. I mean, what more do you want? All right.
Yeah.
Plus this one, it's not just Tim Burton. It's got Michael Keaton and Danny DeVito in it. We're talking a Batman Returns reunion with fucking Dumbo in it. So
look like Danny DeVito's almost like the ringleader, or not? Is that what they call the?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I think so.
Of the traveling circus, maybe not the fixed in place circus, because it looks like Dumbo switches hands at one point. But fucking Danny DeVito, I'm all about a little Danny DeVito, and Bullseye. Bullseye's in this as well. Not Daredevil Bullseye, or not Netflix Bullseye. The OG.
The Colin Farrell Bullseye.
OG Bullseye.
I mean, probably more relevant to this episode, the Fantastic Beasts #1.
Oh yeah, good pull. Yeah.
Grindelwald, sort of. I guess spoilers for the first Fantastic Beasts.
Fake Grindelwald. I forgot about that.
Yeah. We'll get into the gory details of Mr. Gellert Grindelwald in just a few. But
what do you got for us? Did you come with any news?
I did. I came prepared. I actually, I'm going to steal your thunder, man. I'm going to talk some Star Wars news right off the bat.
Ooh, what do you got?
So it's actually kind of a two-parter here. So the first part is something that's a confirmation of what we had already heard about. It was rumored that Pedro Pascal would be the
Justin
lead
Timberlake
in The Mandalorian. Yes, Justin Timberlake from Kingsman, the second Kingsman.
No, he does not look like anything like.
No.
Justin Timberlake. I don't know what I was thinking.
For anyone that doesn't understand this continuing thread, anytime Pedro Pascal's name comes up, I think go back and listen to our Kingsman, the second Kingsman episode. What is that movie actually called? I don't even remember. Is it the Golden Circle? Is that what that is?
Yeah, that's what it is.
It's one with Channing Tatum, and he's in it for like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And Justin Timberlake is maybe in it. Maybe he's not. It might be Pedro Pascal using some polyjuice potion. I don't know. or vice versa. I don't know exactly how that would work. But anyway, Pedro Pascal, who some people may recognize outside of Kingsman from Narcos. I think he's been on it for a few seasons. He was also the Red Viper in Game of Thrones. And now he's going to be the Mandalorian, presumably. So,
is he the Mandalorian, or presumably the?
Like I said, presumably they're a little scant on the details of exactly like who he's playing, but I think the way I read it is that he's playing the lead role for a show that's called The Mandalorian. That's about a lone gunfighter.
Yeah,
that to me implies that he is the Mandalorian. So. It's my understanding of the situation, but
he's going to be an awesome Mandalorian. I think he knows how to jump and flip and shit. He's acrobatic a little bit. Or was that a double? I don't think there was a double.
I mean, they've got stunt doubles for everyone, so I feel like that's not the prerequisite you need to land a leading role is the ability to be.
No, but that makes you cooler. Definitely makes you a little bit cooler. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the next person that's joining the Mandalorian. She can kick some ass. I don't know. I guess she's certainly more acrobatic than I am. She's Gina Carano. She's also joined the cast of The Mandalorian. Again, no details on character that she's going to be playing, but she's an MMA or former MMA star, so she can definitely kick some ass. There's no doubt about that. So I think she'll get down and dirty with The Mandalorian. Maybe she might be, like another Mandalorian. I could definitely see that being the case, or she could just be someone that's going to kick some ass.
I don't know. I feel like she'd had to be a Mandalorian.
She kind of there's a little bit of that vibe, right? Like I would kind of guess that. Yeah, she was in one of the Fast and Furiouses. I don't remember who she fought.
Wasn't she in the Deadpool movie?
She was in the first Deadpool. She was Angel Dust in Deadpool, like Francis's lady henchman.
Yeah. She's super cool. I'm all about it.
He's all about
the
it.
Mandalorian.
He's all about it.
You should definitely be
our
pumped.
listeners should be all about it because, I mean, it's fucking Star Wars, man. It's coming to TV. I actually have nothing but TV news now that I look at my list that I've assembled here. So let me get into the next bit of news I have, something that very much took me by surprise. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
What?
will not only live for the upcoming 6th season, it is going to have another season after that.
Holy shit.
Season number 7 has been confirmed. Out of nowhere, man. Out of fucking nowhere. This is a show for me that I was fully ready to let go by the end of season 5. I thought for sure it was going to get canceled. There was no doubt in my mind it was getting canceled. And
they ended it that way.
Yeah, well, clearly, yeah, exactly. Like the creators were just like, we're not going to get another season. So they made the show in a way that if it was it, they at least went out on their own terms.
Yeah, that was a really
not to say that obviously. Like, I don't think it's, like, a bad thing. It doesn't, to me, feel like a, oh, no, it really should have ended. It was just, like, to me, it kind of felt like a, hey, like, it's most likely going to happen, so let's plan it for, let's plan for that, and we can adjust, later on if we need to. So, definitely going to have to adjust now. Sounds like it's another, so the season 6 that was already announced previously was for 13 episodes, so it was a shorter episode order, and then this one I think is also going to be 13 episodes per the deadline article. So
and
either way, another 26 episodes.
Same network?
Yes, all on ABC.
I got you. Okay.
Yeah, sounds pretty cool. There's also a little tidbit about ABC possibly working on another Marvel series.
Oh yeah,
which is it's being written by the guy that wrote Wonder Woman, the movie, and it is about multiple female characters with superpowers, but that's like all the details they've been able to put out over it. I didn't know this was happening. The article that I'm looking at came out back in September, so clearly something that just went under the radar for us. So that's cool, and that's another one I think that's intended to go to ABC. So Netflix maybe dropping the Marvel shows like flies, but ABC says bring them on. We want all of them. Which ABC is actually owned by Disney, so at least that makes sense.
That does make sense.
So that's pretty cool, and I will conclude my bit of news for the week by jumping over into my favorite universe of comic book characters.
Oh, no.
The CW-verse, but of course, Lex Luthor is making his way to Supergirl, and he will be portrayed by John Cryer, who you may know as one of the 2.5 Men on 2.5 Men.
You're talking
interesting
about
casting. He's the non-Charlie Sheen character on that show, Sheen. And the one that's not a kid and is not Ashton Kutcher from the later seasons. So, process of elimination. I'll let you deduce who he is. He's that guy. Said I'm not really familiar with him outside of that show, which is not a good show as a side note. But
it made a lot of money.
He does have a little bit of Luthor in his blood, sort of.
What?
He actually previously portrayed Lenny Luthor, the nephew of Lex Luthor, in the 1987 feature film Superman 4: The Quest for Peace, which is definitively the best Superman film ever made. So that's kind of cool to bring him back. But I don't know.
I've never seen that Superman movie.
It's real bad. That was a joke.
Oh. Yeah. It's like, oh.
No, Superman 3 and 4 are not good. They're not good. Let's put it that way. But it's cool to see them bringing in like kind of a character like Lex Luthor. A lot of these CW shows have danced around like the big characters and stuff like that. Like, oh, we can't use Batman, or we can't use. Let's say that it seemed like for a while they couldn't use Superman, and then they just said, "Fuck it, we're going to bring in Superman." So it's only natural they'd bring in Lex as well. So it's cool. I don't know. I mean, as I mentioned on I think maybe the last couple episodes, I am trying to begin the long and winding journey to getting caught up on the CW. So maybe in like 4 or 5 years, I can tell you how he does as Lex Luthor. You know what I'm saying?
Right. I hear you.
I don't know. But until then, I guess we're just going to have to be content with moving into the main topic for this week.
Fantastic Beasts.
Fantastic Beasts. Crimes of Grindelwald. It's a movie.
It is, yeah.
That was directed by David Yates. See, this is subtle. I think you picked up on what I was going for there. I think you picked up on it. It's written by J.K. Rowling. It stars Eddie Redmayne, Catherine Waterston, Dan Fogler, Alison Sudol, Ezra Miller, Zoe Kravitz, Jude Law, and Johnny Depp. Hogwarts professor Albus Dumbledore enlists his former student Newt Scamander in an attempt to take down the dark wizard Grindelwald. Box office, not bad. Not bad. $62.2 million domestic take over its opening weekend. Worldwide total of $253.2 million. So not amazing stateside, but it's done very well overseas. Property. I think it might be the lowest debut for the Harry Potter universe in general. I'd have to fact check myself on that. I know for a fact it is a decline from the first Fantastic Beasts of about 16%. Right. Which, sequels, you usually try to go the other way with things. But I think, I don't know, this has kind of been, you can kind of sort of jump into the review portion of this as well, but Harry Potter is this, mega franchise based on, this mega franchise of books, and like that's all well and good, when you try to expand on that. So you do this prequel, which, I think the first one was relatively standalone, and I think it was intended to be, one of three, but then at some point the decision was made to make 5 movies of this franchise, and it's kind of one of those things. Like, I think there's obviously, whether it's the wizarding world of Harry Potter, or just the wizarding world, whatever the fuck it's actually called, like there's this clear attempt to have Harry Potter 2.0, you know what I mean? Like they want that for this franchise, and I think the first one was very much kind of a, riding the coattails of it, like, okay, we know people will be interested because of the Harry Potter connection. Now we want it to be its own separate thing that people get excited for just on its own merits. But I would say, if nothing else, the box office receipts, at least domestically, seem to indicate that it doesn't seem to have that sort of traction for one reason or another. And we'll probably figure out a few reasons maybe shortly. But it doesn't, worldwide, that's a pretty big disparity. It made close to $200 million worldwide in its debut weekend. So that's, it seems that maybe the overseas audiences are digging it a little bit more than Americans are, which is weird because it's like the American focused, sort of. This one less so. The first one was very American focused in terms of like the wizarding world and all that good stuff. This one's, I guess, spanning the globe a little bit more. But anyway, it's a movie, as we've established. I actually rewatched the first one. Maybe like the day of, like. So I watched this one yesterday, and I actually redboxed the first one. I thought I owned it, couldn't find it on my shelf. Turns out I don't think I own it. Almost went on a Merry Goose chase trying to buy it, and then I was just like, wait, it's at the Redbox down the road, $2 versus $20.
Yeah, I got it.
I'm glad I rewatched it because it definitely helped fill in some gaps, because I don't think I'd seen the first one since it came out in theaters, which would have been, I guess, a couple of years ago. I don't know exactly when it came out. Probably, I think 2016 sounds right in my head. Yeah. I think the first one's all right. How'd you feel about
the first one? Yeah.
Yeah.
How'd you feel about
I guess that's kind of what I'm building towards. I think it's okay. I think at the time I thought it was okay, and rewatching it, I felt about the same way, where I think it's solidly made. Some fun characters, like the actual Fantastic Beasts part of it's pretty fun, but I kind of felt like, I think it's probably what audiences are feeling in general, is that it doesn't have that spark, I don't think, that the Harry Potter franchise had. Like, I don't know, like the first one especially felt like kind of like a step back and more just like a drop in the bucket kind of thing, which isn't a bad thing. I think it kind of worked for it, like as its focus. And then, and I think that this one kind of makes the mistake of trying to tie everything together in a way that the first one seemed like it wasn't too focused on. But again, I guess I'm probably getting ahead of myself a little bit there. I mean, what'd you think about the first one? I think you might like it more than I do.
I thought the first one was fine. I thought the first one had, some charm that this one did not have.
Yeah.
It's just, I think it's completely missing in this movie, and I don't know if it's the humor that was in the first one that isn't present in the second one. I don't know if it's just the way it was written. I can't remember how well the first one was edited and put together, but I thought that this one was I thought this one was chopped up. And you usually don't hear me complain too much about that, but I felt it was kind of, I thought it was kind of jarring.
It felt like an adaptation of a book that doesn't exist. Like to me, it felt like kind of what probably the Order of the Phoenix feels like, where like if you watch the Order of the Phoenix having not read the book, I feel like I don't know, maybe that one probably works on its own merits, but it's one of those things where like if you read this 1,000-page book and then you watch this movie that's under 2 hours, you're just like, holy shit, where the hell's the rest of the book in this? It's a lot of that. This one to me felt a lot like that in the sense of like, okay, well maybe I'll go read the book, and the the 600 pages that got chopped from the adaptation will fill in the gaps, because there's lots of gaps, and I don't know what the fuck's going on half the time.
Yeah, there's a lot of questions that this movie leaves you with. Some are definitely intended, and others feel like I think it's just kind of sloppy.
It's just messy. Yeah, it's just very incoherent in its overall structure. I think especially the back half, when it gets very exposition heavy and not in a clever way, not in a way that, for as much exposition as it throws at you, it's too much. And it's just like, what am I supposed to care? What's going on here?
Here's this reveal. But wait, it's only a half reveal. Here's more reveal. But wait, there's more. It's what?
Well, I don't know.
It felt like Tom Cruise face mask, Mission Impossible 2 style, you know what I'm saying? Or 3.
A little bit. Yeah, it's 2. Kind of like the narrative equivalent of that. It's a good way of putting it. I had another way of putting it when I walked out of the theater. I actually sent my brother Jordan, previous guest of the podcast, quick shout out. He texted me saying, it was a bit of a mess, reviews were deserved, and I saw that before I walked in, and I watched the movie. The first thing I texted back to him was, JK went full Lucas. You never go full Lucas. And there's very strong Star Wars prequel vibes to these movies right now for me.
There's some Lucasisms. Yeah, I can see it.
This one especially so. I think the first one is standalone enough, but this one is like, it's like a cog in the machine, but I don't know what the machine is, like what it's trying to do. It's just kind of like, I don't know, like this thing has, it's like serious middle chapter syndrome, I think, like knowing that like this is a 5-movie franchise that they're kind of building it out to be. This one was just like, it had no, the pacing was just very plotting. Like there was no real purpose to this movie, and there was no real end game to this movie. Whereas the first one to me felt like an introduction to kind of a new section of the universe, kind of this contained story of Newt kind of, he comes to New York with this kind of thing that he's doing with creatures, and he has some adventures, he makes some friends along the way, and it kind of ends and wrapped up in a nice kind of tidy bow, and and like this one is just kind of like, it's like chapters 1 through 6 of a book, and you're like, well, there's still like 30 chapters to go after this, and like I don't know that I want more necessarily. Like I'm somewhat curious, because there are some like just absolutely fucking bonkers things that get thrown at you, and you're just kind of like, I'm sorry, what? Right. And so you kind of need that to be filled in. But see, I think that works in a literary medium, maybe, if it's written well and all that good stuff. But that sort of approach does not work here.
No, because you're left with a movie that has a beginning. You've carved out the end of the first one.
It's like 2 hours of just setup. It's like
it's all it is. You're left with the beginning of a movie, and then it just doesn't really. It just, I don't know. It just doesn't really go anywhere.
Yeah, and I think one of my bigger issues with this kind of approach to the storytelling with this particular section of the universe is I feel like they've made this weird slapdash of the Harry Potter, universe in terms of like especially I think the tone of the later Harry Potter films, like with the Harry Potter versus Voldemort and all that. Grindelwald is, he's the OG Voldemort, I guess, in terms of like the Wizarding world's history. He's to quote the great Weekly Planet podcast, he's gay wizard Hitler. That's basically what he is for the Wizarding universe.
Okay, yeah.
And like, you know, like there's this history with him and Dumbledore and all that good stuff, and like, yeah, like, you know, the lore there is it's probably interesting, I guess, but it's just kind of like, what does that have to do with Newt Scamander? And I like collecting beasts and taking care of them. Like, those are two, to me, distinct entities. Like even with the end of the first one being like this, you know, gotcha reveal of Colin Farrell being Grindelwald the whole time, it was just kind of like, okay, what? All right. I mean, it was just kind of like, I don't know. To me, those things should be separated. Like, I don't like, it almost feels like
a separate movie almost, you know, because you have this really nice guy and he's all about collecting the beasts and the animals and he's a competent wizard, but like, I wouldn't mind watching one-off movies of him going to collect a super rare beast or something, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
that's infinitely more interesting than him being like the Harry Potter type protagonist. Like, I don't view him as that type of character.
In the first one, he didn't want to be that, and in the second one, you're not getting a change of character. I mean, he still doesn't want to be that. So I don't know. It's I don't know. It's
I don't
a
know.
movie.
I guess it's kind of, you know, it's one of those things. Maybe you shouldn't hold things against it for you know, being the thing that, you know, it's this is what they've decided to do. You know, it's like kind of like, I guess even if you take it at face value instead of like, well, it should have been this, you know, like maybe that's somewhat unfair to levy that against it. But I think that even if you do treat it on its own, it's got so many structural problems, like just inherently, that it's hard to just, you know, it's like, I think the reason that we move towards this, like, well, why didn't they do this instead, is because like this is just unsatisfying to watch. You know, it sucks because I mean,
everybody likes Harry Potter, man.
I've liked the Harry Potter franchise. I mean, I don't think like the first couple have aged all that well, but shit, man, they came out almost 20 years ago, so. And
I enjoy watching them. I enjoy watching all the Harry Potter movies.
Yeah, I think they're somewhat up and down in terms of quality. You know, I think everyone kind of, I like this one better than the other, et cetera, et cetera.
Well,
but
sure.
I feel like they've all been pretty consistent in terms of tone and quality and stuff like that. This one just feels kind of, like I said, I don't really buy Newt as like this lead character and like this super grim, dark, weird version of the Harry Potter universe. Like, this is like one of the, you know, it's like the World War II equivalent of the, you know, the Wizarding World. It's just like, I mean, that's pretty fucking dark. Like, and like I said, he's just over here like, you know, taking care of creatures and shit. I don't know. It's just weird. It's just a weird blend. I don't like it. You know what I don't like either?
What?
David Yates and his crusade against color.
David Yates and his crusade against color.
Yes, David Yates being the director of this film, a man that clearly despises the use of color in his films for some reason. Because
okay, I see what you're saying. Caught me by surprise. Caught me off guard.
This is like the sorry. It's like it's dark and like the colors are so muted, and it's like the DC third act color palette, but for a whole movie. Like,
it's true. It's very mute. The whole movie's pretty mute.
Especially like the opening sequence. I couldn't understand what the fuck was happening. It was very poorly shot. I mean...
Oh, with the faces? Talking about how they zoom in on everybody's face? Like the field of view was like super close?
Yeah, just I don't know. Some of it was just a lot of it was wonky. Like, there's a lot of like... You know, especially I think when it does use the Fantastic Beasts angle, I think that's fun. It's enjoyable and stuff. But like that, like, I don't know. Just a very dark, dour picture. And it's just like...
like there's one sequence where there's supposed to be a bunch of gold, and even the gold, like the gold is muted, you know, like there's no sparkle, there's no like, I don't know. I think overall I think it's a poorly made movie. I think it's got interesting things in it. Right? Like I like the material. Material's cool. You got magic, and you got some cool effects in there, and you got some cool beasts, and you got this whole thing with Jude Law or Dumbledore. I don't know. I think it has interesting things in it, but I think overall it's just a poorly made movie. I don't know. Yeah.
I think that's fair. I think most of it honestly is on the scripting. I think this, at least in terms of the Harry Potter franchise, I'm pretty sure this is the only film that J.K. has actually scripted herself. And to me, it feels like someone that's not a screenplay writer writing a screenplay.
It's true. Yeah, that's very applicable.
She's a good author. I know. I enjoyed the Harry Potter books. I just felt like this is something that, yeah, like I said, there's ideas in here that are interesting. This needed, I think, more of a deft touch, like someone to come in and look at it and be like, okay, I like a lot of the things you've done here. I'm going to make it into a screenplay.
I'm going to refine it. Right.
I'm going to take your story and make a cinematic, story out of it. One that will play well on film as opposed to just kind of being this thing on paper that's probably not going to translate all that well. To me, it just felt like she wrote kind of a book and then they tried to film like a mini condensed book where like I imagine, it's one of those things like if you write something like you can read your own writing and fill in the gaps in your brain, it's not an issue, but you need an extra set of eyes sometimes to look at it and think like, hey, you're missing a word here, or right. I don't understand what this is building to. Like sometimes it's a little of just like the word being not there and you can fill that in. Sometimes it's just there's a total leap in logic and you can't follow it. Like, what's the train of thought here?
Right.
So I think it needed that sort of thing, which to me brings me back to the Star Wars prequels. That's exactly what happened. It was Lucas writing exactly what poured out of his brain and then filming exactly what poured out of Lucas's brain. And you needed someone to just do a once over. At least one thing. Like, yeah, you need to refine your ideas. You need to, craft it in a way that is going to be, approachable. It's something that's going to work, for as many people as you can. Otherwise, I think you see, like, I don't know who this movie appeals to is kind of what I am getting at. Like, it seems like most of the hardcore Harry Potter fans I've seen are pissed about it. I think most casual Harry Potter fans are just completely confused by it. And then anyone that's not even a Harry Potter fan in the first place that just accidentally found themselves in this theaters just completely fucking lost, like absolutely no clue. Like if you didn't know anything about like the Wizarding World and like you watched this movie, why in fuck's sake would you ever consider going back and watching like the 9 prior movies, Like no way.
That's true. No. See, I would argue that it would. I mean, I don't know. I don't know how to argue it. I'm a casual Harry Potter guy. I like Harry Potter. I've seen all the movies a couple times. I haven't read any of the books. So
yeah, I'm somewhere past casual. I would say I've read all the books, some of them multiple times. It's been years since I've read any of them. I've seen all the movies probably multiple times as well. So I enjoy me some Harry Potter. I just the first Fantastic Beasts didn't really grab me. Clearly not enough for me to own it, as I've established. But
right.
This one to me just felt like it just, I think it just went the wrong way with it. Or if it was the way they were going to go with it, then they just needed to get their shit in order, and they didn't. So I guess the positive is there's, if you want to look at it as a positive, there's three movies for them to get their shit together. I don't know.
That's true. No, I mean, eventually the story's going to collapse on it. It's going to come together.
It just needs a more graceful touch to it, because I think the cast here is like totally game for this too. Like,
yeah, no, they're fine.
They're all just kind of let down by like either if it's something like some of these characters just get absolutely nothing to work with.
It feels like they're telling a quarter of a story.
Yeah. Exactly. Maybe this is the starting point for a lot of characters, and by the 5th movie, like, oh, it's going to be like this big thing, but a lot of the characters here just get nothing to do, and it's just kind of like,
that's it.
Well, why are they there? And then some just get fully character assassinated. One in particular, we'll get there.
That's just the thing, though. And it feels that way. It feels like everyone's given a quarter of a story to tell. The character growth is really not there. You have some plot beats that you get, that start by the end of a 2-hour movie, but nothing goes anywhere. And it's just, and this is the second movie in the new franchise, or whatever you want to call it.
But it feels like a first one. It feels like the first one was kind of this standalone thing, but this one was like,
let's just put our toes in the water.
Like, we're gonna start this 4-movie arc using previously established characters. It's kind of the way, like it.
Yeah,
it doesn't feel so much like a sequel as opposed to like just another start to the franchise. It's just weird how because basically everything that was established by the end of the first movie is undone by like 10 minutes into this movie. That's not really a spoiler, but like, the no-maj, the whatever his character's name is, Jacob. He loses his memory sort of by the end of the first one, and he's good. Like 5 minutes in the second one. Grindelwald's captured at the first one. Well, maybe he'll be out running amok pretty soon into the movie. It's not really spoilers in the trailers. So, like there's just a lot of like things like that. And it's just like, well, what was the point of all that? And like a lot of the development, like it's somewhat referenced in terms of, the interplay between characters. But
it's minimal.
Like, yeah, but it's kind of just like, you don't really deal with it a whole lot. I don't know. Yeah, let's we've got some stuff to talk about in spoilers, so let's get into recommendation.
Yeah, what do you got? How do you recommend this movie, man?
I'd say wait for Netflix. Honestly, it's I don't think there's enough visual appeal to justify like a theater or a Blu-ray thing. Like unless you're just like an absolute like can't get enough of. Maybe not even the Harry Potter franchise, but maybe you really like the first one. Maybe you might like it because it's the continuation of these characters' stories. Maybe, I don't know. And we're really the only defense I can offer for this movie in terms of like how it might, be in the grand scheme of things is that as part 1 of 4 or part 2 of 5, depending on kind of how you frame it, maybe it works together, with those other movies, but that's years away, and it's kind of hard to like justify like I'm not going to recommend you go see this movie in theaters because it might make more sense in 6 years. Like, what?
Right.
Like that's pretty silly. But I don't know. I mean, I guess maybe they'll get better from here. I mean, it's kind of the Hobbit thing as well to track another set of prequels to movies that didn't work out all as anyone I guess expected or wanted them to. Like for me, the first Hobbit movie was like, oh, that was all right. The next one, will be better. And then the second one came out and you're like, oh, fuck, that was worse. And you're like, well, the next one will be better. And then the third one came and you're like, oh, fuck, that was even worse. So I'm hoping that it doesn't follow that trend. At least Star Wars got to its best film of the prequel trilogy by its third entry. And its second one was the worst one. So far it's tracking with both in terms of the first 2 entries, I would say, in terms of like the dip in quality. So we'll see exactly how it can possibly recover. But yeah, Netflix, it's probably the best way to watch this, honestly. Streaming, I guess.
Yeah. I'd say that the most devout of Harry Potter fans have already seen or are going to see it in theaters.
Yeah.
So I mean, you're not gonna tell somebody that a Harry Potter movie came out, and they're not gonna go see it if they're Harry Potter people. But if you're just I mean, my recommendation, if it's just for general people, I would say streaming. It's probably the best. I would say if you're going to buy the movie, you're going to end up buying it. Just wait and buy it in a collection of Fantastic Beast movies and just let it slip in with the other ones. If you would ever buy it. But I'm not going to go out and buy it. I don't recommend you buy it.
Honestly, that's my plan. My hope is that maybe the next few are better and then I'll just buy a big box set.
Yeah.
I'd be okay with that. I think it's not so flawed on its own that it can't work as part of a bigger thing, but it absolutely cannot stand on its own. Like I think if you just put it in a bubble, it does not work.
It definitely doesn't work in a bubble.
It's possible for it to work as part of this this bigger machine potentially, but that's pure speculation.
And it doesn't excuse the fact that it's just a poorly conceived movie. It's
and you shouldn't make a movie that feels like an episode of a 5-part miniseries. Like that's like Marvel movies have this long running continuity and all that, but each one still feels like its own movie. Like the worst of the bunch in terms of like future setup was Iron Man 2, and uncoincidentally it's one of the worst films in the franchise. Like that's a franchise in general that works best when it's just telling its own story, and then if that happens to serve like this bigger kind of piece of the puzzle, cool. Like don't make that just the point. Is just like, oh, look what's coming next. Oh, look what's coming next. Or
I think the only Harry Potter
this reveal is gonna make you shit your pants because none of it makes any sense. Like come on.
I thought the only Harry Potters that really fell into that were the last two. Yeah,
which they were. Well, I mean, they were a literal part 1 and part 2.
Right. But the other Harry Potters prior to that,
well, they stood on their own, which was because they were based off of
each year of
books
Hogwarts,
that stood
right?
on their own. Yeah, different periods of time. Yeah, absolutely. So
it was I don't know. It was well adapted. And this was not. So yeah, stream it.
Done deal. Let's get into spoilers, my friend. Full spoilers for Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of Grindelwald. Should we talk about the most obvious thing in this that is just, what the fuck are they thinking?
Are you talking about the Shadow Man, the man that was so grisly he had to hide in the shadows during the interview, or when he was trying to negotiate for a passport? Is that what you're talking about?
No, I was talking about the ending of the movie.
The ending of the movie. Okay, yeah, we can talk about the ending of the movie too.
Okay, well, we can jump back and forth between those things. Actually, what are you talking about?
I'm talking about the guy that had to hide the Newt. We need you to go catch Grindelwald. Well, I don't want to go catch Grindelwald. Well,
you
should go catch Grindelwald. Well, I'm here by this column.
Yeah, he's like shook when this guy like walks out, and like I don't.
Was he in the first movie?
No, like it felt like a reveal of like, oh fuck, it's that guy. But then everyone's just like, who the fuck is that guy? I don't know who the fuck that guy is.
That's hilarious. I can't believe they did that.
Yeah, like it's like, I don't know. It's weird because it's like
I literally thought to myself when he looked so shook when he come around the pillar or whatever. I literally thought, oh fuck, maybe I should have rewatched the first one because I don't know who that guy is.
Yeah, like maybe if that was like maybe that character was his brother and like his brother's like the super badass or something like that, and then he's like, oh fuck, not my brother. But it was just like, oh no, it's that guy. Okay, all right. But then I think the best part about that is that character is never explained.
No,
he's an Auror that is working for Grindelwald, as it turns out, and he gets Newt super shook, but then his ass disappears about halfway through the movie, never to be mentioned again.
And then it's funny because he references his reputation. He references it. Oh, they're gonna be real upset that I missed. I have a reputation.
Maybe they figured out that he was a turncoat and they just murdered him on the spot, and they just neglected to mention that for the rest of the film. You're
I don't know what the fuck. Anyways, yeah. So there was that guy.
Yeah. I wanted to talk about the revelation that Credence is none other than Aurelius Dumbledore.
Would that be his nephew?
No, that would be Dumbledore's brother, long-lost brother that doesn't exist anywhere except for this movie now.
See, I thought maybe it was his nephew. Because he referenced... I mean, there's probably receipts somewhere for it being his brother. But when I walked out of the theater...
But
when I walked out of the theater, I was thinking it was his nephew. And I'll tell you why. Because, well, and we have to... I don't know. I thought maybe there would be receipts for this somewhere in the movie, but apparently there's not. So he talks to... what's the girl that was going to marry Newt's brother's name?
Lita.
Okay, so Lita, Dumbledore was talking to Lita about how he should have loved his sister more. And apparently she's gone, right? And then then at the end there you find the boat, her son, she goes to grab her son, and then the boat flips over, and come to find out that was Dumbledore's nephew or whatever. I thought that was his sister, and I assumed that would have been her kid. And then what was I going for? That was my the kid's obviously much younger than Dumbledore. So I thought maybe that would be
I like that theory. I think that tracks generally well, other than if you look at the Harry Potter lore, Dumbledore's sister died when she was 14, so that makes things really weird. Really weird.
Okay.
It's not impossible. I mean, this is a movie that is okay with killing kids, so...
more so of a problem where there's a 14-year-old having a baby. Which is that's kind of scandalous.
It's not impossible, but for what is somewhat of a kids movie. I mean, this one's not, but the franchise, I think, in general, kind of evolved from being a kids movie to being something a little bit more adult, which made sense, given the aging of the characters. This one's just kind of full, like dark, bleak, late Harry Potter film kind of thing. I don't know. I mean, if they play fast and loose with the mythology, which they already are, because can we talk about how fucking old Professor McGonagall is?
Professor McGonagall. Which one was Professor McGonagall?
She appears in the flashbacks. She's the older professor, the head of Gryffindor in the Harry Potter films that can transform into the cat.
Okay, yeah, all right.
There's a young version of her in this. This movie takes place in, I think, the mid-1920s, somewhere around there. Those movies take place in 2001, and she definitely looks much younger than Dumbledore does. Like, Dumbledore is, like, on death's doorstep.
Right.
About the time the Harry Potter movies start, and she's obviously not, spring chicken, but I don't think that tracks. And so I looked it up because some people were like, that doesn't make sense. And I guess in the book she actually started teaching at Hogwarts in 1956, a good 30 years after she started teaching in this movie. She would be, I guess probably 100 or so. So maybe she's got some of that Nicholas Flamel Philosopher's Stone's juice going for her. I don't know. Also, why was he in the movie?
Oh, the
fan service for because we saw the stone. Oh, the stone's there. Oh, remember that from the first one?
Right.
Fan service. Oh, it's so cool.
Stick your wand in the ground.
I don't know.
He was there to tell them to stick it in the ground.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. There's just there's little bits of like weird fan service in here that like just don't make any sense. Like they're like, remember this thing, and so I don't know if you followed the whole hoopla over Nagini, the snake woman.
No.
So in the Harry Potter movies, Nagini is Voldemort's snake.
Is it a snake or wasn't it a Hux? Was it a?
It was a he used her as a Horcrux. That's what you're trying to?
Yeah, is that right?
Which he part of his soul was basically housed within her.
Okay,
he fragmented it. So, but no, she was still a snake, and he could speak to her because he was a parcel tongue and all that good stuff. But why is she in this movie? What does she do? She's friends with Credence, I guess. Maybe, I don't know. She's completely pointless in here.
Let me ask you a question.
Like a connection that's just like, what is the purpose of this?
Voldemort.
What is your question?
What's? I feel like they referenced Voldemort's history in Harry Potter, didn't they?
They do, yeah. They cover his backstory and like flashbacks and stuff here and there in the diary from Chamber of Secrets.
Okay, and can you just refresh me real quick on that? Like, was he just a student that went to Hogwarts and went batshit crazy?
Yeah, I think something along those lines. I don't remember the full details of it. Right. Yeah, but yeah, he was kind of just a student that went bad, more or less.
Okay. I don't know, man. See, I always thought that they were trying to... maybe I'm just Star Warsing it, but I always thought that maybe, they're ramping up to Voldemort, in some way.
Well, I don't think the timeline tracks at all.
Okay, see, how old is Voldemort supposed to be in those movies?
I don't know how old is in the Harry Potter, but I think he was a student, probably the maybe 50s or 60s.
Okay.
So,
and Dumbledore was already...
being all noseless and all, so...
I gotcha. I don't know about this Harry Potter world, man.
I say, none of it just seems to jive very well, and like you'd think the writer of the fucking franchise would kind of know these things. I guess... Maybe we shouldn't question, the all-knowing J.K. Rowling, but like, I don't know, like, not. I guess,
like Nagiri being the snake. I mean,
it's nothing. It's a nothing. It's just like it's just more fan service, but it's okay. Who cares? Who cares? No one does. No one cares. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know,
let's get back to Again, I'm pretty sure that the supposed explanation is that old Ezra Miller is in fact Dumbledore's long lost younger brother, which is incredibly dumb. It's the ass-pulliest of ass-pulls, I would say, and I think that even if we took your theory, that it was his nephew, okay, either way. The whole explanation for this entire
it took a long fucking way to get there, didn't it?
It's just so fucking insane. I cannot believe that they actually filmed it as such and put it in the movie as such. I mean, we get this 5-minute explanation of the beginning part of the Lita Lestrange kind of, family tree with the French guys, just like this is why I'm in this movie, and then it's literally just him explaining why he's in the movie.
The black guy.
Yeah, and then there's another 5 minutes after that of Lita. I'm like,
but wait,
yeah, but this is actually what really happened, and it's like 5 minutes of that. She literally pulls out a fucking family tree. There's a literal family tree in this movie, and I'm like, yo, this is not the fucking like appendices of like your fucking book, man. Like it's not like fucking Song of Ice and Fire where you throw that shit in the in the back of the book so people can like flip back and forth. Like, who the fuck's this guy? Who's this guy?
Man.
Like, it shouldn't be that convoluted. Like, come on.
Well, it can be. You just need to set it up right. You need to have it. You need to have it fucking explained properly. And devoting the last 25 minutes of your movie to explaining family heritage is probably it's probably a misstep.
And I guess what I'm getting at it is that regardless of who actually, assuming in fact that Grindelwald is not completely full of shit and just manipulating Credence, which I would be fine with. I think it makes more sense than him being a Dumbledore. Although he did fucking tear that mountain a new one, and he got the Phoenix. Yeah, but I don't know. Whatever. Maybe it's all just a bait and switch. Maybe, but
real quick side note: was Grindelwald using the Elder Wand?
Yes.
Did he get that in the last movie?
I think he's had it.
He's just had it?
I think he's just had it. And, it obviously changes possessions at a certain point.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
Another side note. Was there any other Deathly Hollows in this one? Because they made like a big thing in the advertising about the fucking triangle and the fucking circles and stuff.
I don't recall, but Deathly Hallows is one of my least favorite parts of the original Harry Potter franchise, so I'm not overly familiar with
that's the cloak, right? And the wand, and what was the other one?
I don't remember. Like I said, I
read
that book once, thought it sucked, and kind of was just like, okay.
Put it in the back of your head, right? Forgot about it. Anyways, I'm sorry.
No, you're good. I say my overall point that I've been trying to build to is that regardless of how you kind of hand wave some of these details, the whole thing here is that she swaps the baby. Assuming that it is a Dumbledore, she just happened to swap with a Dumbledore. Really, that's what you're like. Assuming these facts to be true as they've been presented, which wouldn't surprise me if they have another explanation at the beginning of the next one. Was like, remember those two explanations we gave you for the first, the last 30 minutes of the movie?
Twist.
All bullshit. All bullshit, Like, I don't know. It's just like,
who cares?
Ways to tell these stories that are not so needlessly convoluted in a way that it's just like, what? Come on. I don't know. Like, it's just so dumb. It's so dumb. And I just thought that the story decisions really were just quite,
like the decision to switch the baby.
Decisions.
Yeah. Like, I was a 7-year-old girl, and my brother was crying.
Yeah, that was
so
kind of
I picked the baby up, I walked into another room and switched babies. What?
How do that was, I mean, Jesus Christ. Like, what are you doing, kid? What are you doing? That was. That
doesn't even seem like a little kid move,
Yeah, I don't know. That is a little weird. I will agree with that. I found it weird that, like, talking about Lita, they added they kind of expanded on her character. I think the most of probably any of the characters in this entire movie,
right? And
then it just kind of unceremoniously offed her at the end. And it's especially, I think, weird in the context of like the whole possible love triangle with Newt, his Dole brother, and her. Like, I none of that really worked for me. It was just kind of like, why are you building towards this maybe thing, and then you just kind of just piss it away at the end? You're just like, okay, what was the point of any of that again?
Yeah,
someone help me out here.
Was she in the first one?
She was a picture in the first one on Newt's desk in his case. So there's clearly a history between those two, which is very clearly hinted at in the flashback that we get, and then it's just kind of like,
but
why
I felt
is
like
she engaged to his brother?
Yeah, I felt like Newt didn't
the story is missing. Yeah, and he wasn't interested in her really anymore. He was definitely interested in Tina, who, by the way, had nothing to do in this movie. Holy shit. Straight up not like she was barely in the movie. She barely had any lines. Like, crazy to me that like they took this character that was a big part of the first movie and just gave her absolutely nothing to work with. And then they take her sister and give her the talk about character assassinations. Oh boy. Yeah. Oh boy. Really, even from the beginning, before she goes full, Nazi, towards the end, like just the whole like love potion or the enchantment thing, it was just very weird.
It was weird, yeah. It was very strange.
Rapey. I don't know if that was kind of the thing they were going for, but they kind of seemed to like hand wave it as just like, oh, it's okay, But like he has that line of like, when are we going to wake me up when we have 5 kids? And I was just like, Jesus Christ, like that's insane.
He was okay with it.
I don't think he was, though.
I think he was a little okay with it.
I don't think he was.
Well, I mean, he wasn't okay with the love potion, but he was, I don't know.
What's he okay with? He's not okay with her going full Nazi. He
was definitely broken up about that. He was broken up when she left, though. Their relationship's very strange.
I don't understand the whole thing because it's established in the first one. I'm an expert since I rewatched it. It's established that they, the wizards and non-magic people can't get married in America, but it's very clearly laid out that they can get married in England. Just move to England. What are you doing? They speak English there too.
Right.
They have bakeries. You can open a bakery there. Like, I don't know. Like, that was just insane to me. Like, just what was...
And let's just start there. The first one had that charm. Like, that guy, I felt like he was the life of the party in the first movie.
He was, yeah. He was good here, too, but just, like, nothing. Nothing for the character to do.
Yeah, there was nothing there, man.
Well, and, like, like, the first one, like... And I think the problem with that is that character was not intended, I don't think, to be part of this franchise beyond the first one. Really?
Oh, was that it?
Well, I mean, there's hints towards him, like, regaining his memory, and then Queenie walks in at the end, and, he kind of has, like, this moment of, like, somewhat recollection, maybe, but then by the, beginning of this movie, he's just like, I remember everything, or, I was told about everything. It's fine. It's just
let's just erase what the fuck happened.
Yeah, it's just very hand-wavy, like, people liked this character, so we got to bring him back, and, like, yeah, it's really charming, actor, charming character, like, I get it, but... It's weird, like, yeah, like, and he's not a wizard, so,
like what's he do for the whole movie?
Yeah, he can't do anything. Like, that's the point, is he has no capability of doing anything. So, I don't know. It's pretty wild. I thought. I don't know. What'd you think about Johnny Depp's eyebrows?
Johnny Depp's yeah.
What about his eye? His one eye.
His fucking eye.
Oh, so creepy.
Dumbledore's a decent looking dude. Why was he with this fucked up looking guy?
Well, Grindelwald was a little handsomer in his youth, as we saw.
He still had a fucked up eye and no eyebrows.
Well, yeah, some people like that sort of thing.
Well, I guess so. Okay, that's touche.
Some people go for the no eyebrow.
He said,
heterochromia look.
Dumbledore says he was more than just a brother. Oh man, I didn't. Fucking Grindelwald. I just don't care, man. I just don't care about any of it.
I honestly didn't think Johnny Depp was bad. He was just kind of he was just depping about, giving us a pretty traditional Depp performance. But yeah, it's kind of just like, okay. I mean,
I thought it was cool when he drew the fire around the circle. That was cool.
Yeah, it's fine, I guess, but I think I probably enjoyed him vaping World War II the most, personally.
Right?
That was pretty cool.
What's the skull they're breathing out of? Breathing in?
I have no idea. No idea what any of this is. Like, there's a lot of stuff I was watching this movie and like, what even is this? And I'm like, it's magic. It's fine. I don't really, like, I'm not going to get caught up in the details of that because it's like, it's just some magic bullshit. But it's the actual inconsistencies, like, within the logic of the film and within, like, the making of the film that really bug me. But... yeah, Dumbledore was pretty cool. I like Jude Law a lot. I don't think I said that.
Yeah, no, Jude Law was.
I thought
cool.
he was great. I expect we'll see a lot more of him moving forward, and I think that he would make more sense as the protagonist moving forward than Newt. Like, if you want to keep Newt around as kind of a side character, no issues with that. I think Eddie Redmayne's great, but he's just not that character.
That's what aggravated me. he says Dumbledore's got he so far we know that Dumbledore knows a 300-year-old fucking alchemist, right? And that alchemist is part of an order because he opens up the book, right?
Yeah.
Presumably that was the Order of Phoenix.
Probably.
Right?
Yeah, sounds
That's
right.
what I think. I thought there was a bird on the front. Anyways, so presumably that book he opens up, and the alchemist is talking to those people, or he's flipping through the pages or whatever. Those are the presumably high-ranking people within that thing. That's what I took from it, anyways.
Yeah.
And he's obviously one of the most powerful wizards in existence, right? But he can't fight Grindelwald because they were lovers. And they made a pact, a blood pact, and it was like a jewel. So, why would it fall to Newt to do all of his stuff?
Because he was the main character in the first one.
Is there anything else?
No, it doesn't make sense. It's like
it doesn't make sense, right? I'm gonna go
when
down
you get
and
someone that actually like is good at like combat and like shit, and I guess maybe not everyone has the aid of big fucking creatures that can fuck people up or whatever, but I don't know. I don't think it logically makes any sense in the scheme of things. Like,
no,
it's all well and good that like Newt is a super charming character and like he's a fun presence. I enjoy him, but it within this role in this universe is like,
especially when you're trying to make the universe as dark and gritty as it is. Yeah,
it's a weird mishmash of kind of tones that they're. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have a good answer other than he was the protagonist of the first one, and they didn't want to stray away from that by making someone else the lead. I think it's as simple as that. He said this. I mean, just look at the fucking title. It's a shit title. Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of Grindelwald. What? What does that even mean?
It is.
What are you talking about?
Stupid.
Some Sicario Day of the Soldado shit, if you know what I'm talking about.
It's stupid. It's just kind of stupid. I mean, it's cool. There's some cool stuff, you know. And
I think the first
okay.
half, I was good with it, and then I think it just goes off the rails with exposition bullshit, and then like just the reveal at the end, and it's just like, oh, none of this landed. It was just really clunky, really exposition heavy, and really quite dense, overly dense. Yeah,
it was dense, but at the same time, it wasn't fucking. The payoff was just not there, you know. Like you hear it all the time about the plot twist, but I mean, it's not a very rewarding plot twist. She was aggravated about her brother crying, so she switched babies on this boat, and that boat went down. What?
Yeah, that's like a first idea. I was like, we know what the end game is, but we don't know how to get there.
Hey, let's just have her getting tired of her brother crying and have her switch babies.
Yeah.
Switched at birth. But not birth. It wasn't birth.
All right. I'm done suggesting ways to make this movie better.
Yeah, it's true.
My only suggestion is make the next one not a big piece of shit. That would probably be my suggestion. Whether that means getting someone to take a look at the script that J.K. writes, whether it means getting someone besides bland-ass David Yates to direct, you got to do something. And honestly, I think the box office might force their hand in some ways where they need to have something to re-energize the fan base, I would think. So I don't know.
Maybe they'll just do episode 3. Maybe it'll be the start of another one.
Yeah. Yeah, they're like, oh, they didn't like the last one. We'll just do it again. It'll be the start of a trilogy now. I hope. I don't know. Whatever. Like I said,
oh shit.
Anyways, I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm done with this shit. What have you been up to lately?
So what have I been up to? You know, every week you tell me to write my shit down. I've been consciously thinking about it. I got to talk about a movie. I'd actually much rather talk about this movie this episode than the movie that we've talked about. The Ballad of Scruggs. What's his name?
Buster Scruggs.
The Ballad of Buster Scruggs. Written, directed, and produced by the Coen brothers. It is fucking excellent. It is so good. So good. I actually drove around all day today listening to the score from that movie. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's I think there's 5 little mini stories in there, and it's all takes place in the West, and it's got conventional Coen Brothers dark humor and I don't know. It's just their style, and it's very appealing. It's really good. It's very well written. It's well shot. It's well acted. And I highly recommend everybody, if you can't watch it through one sitting, I think it's, 130 minutes. I think it's, yeah. So if you want to break it up, it's not broken up into episodes on Netflix, but if you want to start and stop at the end of each story, they're very separate things. And you could totally do that too, but it's definitely, it's definitely a masterpiece. I really liked it a whole lot. And I'm actually, I haven't played a whole lot of Red Dead Redemption. I finished the first train mission, and I got to the settlement. But after watching Mr. Buster Scruggs, I am energized on Western shit, and I think I'm going to start pulling out of the horror genre, because I've been in that for the past month and a half to 2 months, just watching horror movies. And I think I'm probably going to get started on Western shit. I don't know. It's maybe pretty pumped up about it. So, and aside from that, I caught a Criterion movie that I don't know if I can tell you that I've caught. Can we talk about that? Do we talk about that? No?
Well, we will probably talk about it at length eventually, so I would say maybe hold off on talking about it for now.
Yeah, so I caught a particular Criterion movie that you actually purchased for me on my my birthday? Yes, on my birthday.
Mm-hmm.
And it was good. I like it. And aside from that, what else have I done? I still haven't finished Sabrina. I watched another episode of it. I think I have like 1 or 2 more left, maybe. But the last one I watched was just okay. I'm finding it hard to complete. But I'm almost done, so I just have to do it. Anyways, what have you been up to, man?
I made good on my promise last week. I don't know if I actually promised it technically, but I started Constantine, the NBC show.
Okay, yeah.
I bought the Blu-ray set of it. It's 13 episodes. It's, the quote-unquote the complete series, because it got canceled pretty swiftly. But 4 episodes in. I think I watched maybe the first 3 when it aired back in 2014. So I think I'm getting into the material that I was not exposed to previously. I know I dropped it before because I wasn't digging it a whole lot, but I'm liking it a lot more now. I don't think it's amazing so far, but
I liked it well enough.
Matt Ryan is fucking phenomenal as Constantine. I'm glad that he's been a consistent presence as Constantine even after the show got canceled. Obviously when he popped up in the CW, but I think he's voiced the character in several mediums. I know the City of Demons you watched that he voiced Constantine in that as well.
He's awesome. Yeah,
he's great as the role. I really enjoy him there. It's kind of weird, like the pilot they had like the one main character that they just kind of unceremoniously dropped at the end of the episode because we're gonna have another female lead for the rest of the show. I thought that was kind of it's weird.
It was very jarring. I remember that in particular. Yeah.
I liked both of the leads. I think the second one's maybe more fitting for what the show is trying to do. Obviously, there's a reason they kind of reconfigured it the way that they did, but it was very it felt very piloty and very separated in that way. It was it's very odd, I thought.
Right.
Obviously, the show didn't last too long anyway. But no, I'm enjoying it. It is step 1 in my journey of getting up to speed on the CW. I wanted to watch this in the eventuality of watching Constantine's presence on Legends of Tomorrow. So that's kind of the plan. I'm sticking with it.
I gotcha. Okay.
Slowly but surely, I will get there.
He was cool in the Arrow. He was in a couple of Arrow episodes too, wasn't he?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I watched those. So I've at least seen those. But and I think he guested on Legends towards the end of the last season, and then now he's just a regular on it for this current season that's airing.
That's kind of appealing. Yeah.
It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. I have been playing the first Red Dead Redemption. I think I've probably put probably more hours than I should admit to. But
is it so good?
It's pretty good. It's got kind of 8-year-old game jankiness to it here and there. But it's charming. I enjoy it, and kind of playing it with the expectation that I'll jump into 2 probably over the holiday break. It's kind of my goal is
Are you just burning through the main story?
No, I've been kind of doing some side stuff and exploring a little bit. I figure I probably am not likely to play it again, so I might as well get the maximum enjoyment out of it without I'm not trying to 100% it or anything like that. But it's kind of nice to have a little bit of variety to the gameplay instead of just doing missions. I don't see the thing is it's hard sometimes to go back. I don't know how Red Dead Redemption 2 handles it, but this one I think is the same engine as Grand Theft Auto 4. Or at least kind of the same thing, and it has the same kind of mission type structure. And I don't know, to me, like especially coming off of like the back of like Spider-Man and stuff like that, like I feel like the missions are just kind of they're kind of just
samey.
I don't love it, but I think I really enjoy the setting. I think that's what's kind of keeping me in it, and the characters are interesting, and so yeah. Obviously, and with the expectation, like I said, to go into the second one, I feel like this one probably lay down some nice groundwork, and then the second one should be this modern day refinement of all the mechanics, and I think that'll kind of be like a holy shit, like this is what it's supposed to look like, this is what it's supposed to feel like, and so that'll be kind of cool, I think, to eventually get to that point. But I'm not trying to. I have exams coming up. I can't get crazy with gaming right now.
Games,
so I'm like
right.
I don't even want to start Red Dead Redemption 2 until probably late December. So I'm kind of giving myself plenty of time to just slowly work through this one. Just kind of when I have time here and there.
Well, I can tell you it's a very pretty game, and it's well voice acted from what little bit I've played, and I have not done a whole lot with it. There is a shit ton of systems. It's kind of daunting. I don't know. I thought Spider-Man was relatively simple, and I really enjoyed Spider-Man. Because I don't know. What just came out? Fallout? Fallout just came out, didn't it?
It did.
Yeah.
It's apparently terrible, but...
Is it terrible?
It's very broken, I think, is probably the biggest issue.
Okay. Well, I mean, just like the Fallout games, I've never played and beat a Fallout game.
It's not a single-player Fallout either, so...
Oh. It's multiplayer?
Yeah, it's only multiplayer.
It's only multiplayer?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. It's kind of strange.
Yeah, Bethesda, the masters of jank, making a fully multiplayer game. Yeah, that was a good idea.
Ooh, I don't know about that.
I guess they might have done, Elder Scrolls.
Didn't they do Morrowind online, or not Morrowind, Elder Scrolls Online?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if they developed it. I think that the Fallout team was probably not perhaps well equipped for that, but I'm saying that as someone that has not played it and has no intention of probably ever playing it. But yeah.
I hear New Vegas was. I know one of Ben's favorite games was New Vegas, right?
Yeah, New Vegas is really good. I think 4 kind of got a middling response. Some people seem to really like it. Some people thought that it was not nearly as good as kind of that 3 New Vegas 1-2 punch. But
right, I don't know. Open world games are kind of hit and miss with me, though. I either really like them or I don't.
Yeah. I'm with you there.
Yeah.
Sometimes it just depends on kind of what you're in the mood for too. So. Let's go ahead and call it there. Thank you all for listening to this episode. If you enjoyed what you heard, please spread the word. Patreon, we've got some stuff to talk about, don't we?
We do.
So, as a side note, our current bonus episode is still up right now. It's the Halloween kind of episode that we did. The 1977 Suspiria audition, The Wailing, and It Comes at Night, 4 horror movies from 4 different countries. That I know it's past the Halloween season now, but if you want to jump in on the Patreon bandwagon, you still can. Just go to watchreviewrepeat.com, click the premium tab, and then click the Become a Patron button, and that way you can listen to that episode right now.
Some of our most awesome, fun episodes are on there.
Yeah, and speaking of awesome, fun episodes that we have yet to record but will be coming in December, we can announce what our next bonus episode is going to be. It is going to be 3 movies, as we mentioned, straight from the Criterion collection. It is the Trilogia de Guillermo del Toro.
Boom!
Which consists of the likes of Kronos, Pan's Labyrinth, and The Devil's Backbone. Not in that order. I got the order mixed up. But three movies directed by Guillermo del Toro. Hold on. 3 movies directed by
Guillermo del Toro.
Oh, there he is. There he is. I needed you for that.
Guillermo.
I think probably one of Andrew and I's favorite directors in general. Really excited to talk about those three films. I think it's going to be a really, really fun episode to record. I'm excited. I haven't watched any of the movies yet. Andrew's watched one of them, but we'll be getting on that soon. That episode should be up December 1st or very close to the beginning of December. So look forward to that. That's more or less it. As I mentioned, website is watchreviewrepeat.com. Social media, if you'd like to follow us on Twitter, we are at WRRPod. On Facebook, just like us, Watch Review Repeat. Questions, comments, and suggestions can be sent to our Gmail account, which is watchreviewrepeat@gmail.com. Our intro and outro track is Mechanolith by Kevin MacLeod, licensed under the Creative Commons by Attribution 3.0 license. And, we got some more fun episodes, or potentially episodes singular, coming up for you guys next time around. We've got, Thanksgiving's coming up soon. So I think by the time this episode goes up, it might actually be on Thanksgiving. So if you're listening to this on Thanksgiving, happy Thanksgiving. If you're listening to this after, then hope you guys had a wonderful Thanksgiving meal, good time with family or friends, or both. I guess you can have both. But we're going to be celebrating the Thanksgiving week with. You said we may do one episode, we may do multiple episodes. We haven't decided, but Creed 2 and Ralph Breaks the Internet are coming out the same week. And
excellent. That's going to be a fun episode. Hold on to your britches, because good movies are coming out, man.
Yeah, we're going to cover both in some capacity. So if we do one big one, so be it. If we split it somehow, then either way, you're going to get your coverage of both of those. Really, really looking forward to both of those. So I think that's going to be an awesome episode. Or episodes to listen to.
Right.
Absolutely. So we'll figure out what works best. Sometimes we get unwieldy with the length of our episodes, and we don't want to get ourselves into too much trouble. So stay tuned for that. Stay tuned again for the bonus episode coming soon. The Guillermo del Toro trilogy. Good stuff. Waiting in the wings for our listeners and supporters here. So once again, thank you for listening. Until next time, we say,
Ladies on the Minjay.